up, y'all? And welcome to the very first episode of The Mindsetters. And I can't think of a better way to start the show than to bring the fabulous lipstick ladies back. Ladies, I missed you all. Hey. So we've got the fabulous Charlene Ruiz. Hey, Charlene, what's up?
Hi.
Welcome back. And of course, Carmen Smith here.
Hello.
And then me, the hostess with the mostest, Coach Lorraine Lindsay. What's up, y'all?
What's
up?
up? Hello.
So we always got to get juicy right away.
Yes,
Right.
let's do it.
So today we are going to be talking about fake friends and tight circles.
Okay, that's
So I'm just going to kind of like start right out the gate and put it out there. Recently, like this last week, few months, I've been kind of going through my own personal situation where, life is changing for me, changing for a lot of people. And when you're kind of evolving and transitioning, you start to see that people in your life will start to shift as well. Right. And so sometimes you're not really clear as to what the why is behind that, especially when your intentions are one way and you start to learn and figure out that their intentions are different.
Mm-hmm.
And so it seems like they are in your life at certain times when life is good, and then it seems like they just kind of disappear at different times. And so I consider those kind of people fake friends.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can you guys relate to any times in your life when you've had that or dealt with that?
Yeah, I've had a couple of instances where I've had a lot of people I consider to be good friends, and we just kind of there's like a distance that comes, and you just kind of like, I don't know, I guess your lives are not in alignment anymore. And I don't know if that's fake or it's just life.
Right.
Right.
I can
in
understand that.
in my
yeah.
situations.
Same for me. I have childhood friends that I was a young mom, got married early. Nobody else was. So your friends do change, right?
Yeah.
But then I have some people in my circle. I wouldn't really call them friends they have an intent and a motive to get close, and you start to see that. But and as someone I feel that has a good picker on what's happening around her, you can sense that, but you don't want to believe it. So you hang out to see what's up, and then you start to see it, and you have to move yourself back. Then you wonder, wow, that hurt because I care, but absolutely fake friends. I guess that could fall into that category, or friends that don't know how to be friends, because they just don't have that in them. It's all about me. And that's not a relationship, a friendship.
Or the expectation they put on you. And if you don't meet that expectation for them, it's all about them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm experiencing that now. I won't go into detail, but sometimes I think where people are in their lives, they expect you to show up a certain way. And when you don't, they're like, start reacting on you or start, like throwing tantrums or whatever the case may be. And it's like, I didn't even know you needed me like that. You should have just asked.
Right.
So I think our expectations we put on people is sometimes unfair.
I agree with that. And I also think for me personally, my thing is I'm a straightforward friend. And it's important for me that when I have somebody in my life that I deem as a friend, it's important for me to be somewhat of a confidant. I don't always have the best approach, but it is with good intention every single time. And if there are miscommunications in friendships or misunderstandings in friendships, if they're true friendships, then I believe they merit a conversation. Even if at the end of that conversation, there's a decision to part ways.
Yes.
And so I feel like when people cannot be honest and transparent, when you've had a long relationship with that person or those people, or you've been good to them and done good for them, if there's a slip or a shift, and it could just really simply lie into a miscommunication, then it should at least merit a conversation. And so for me, the problem is that when you start to see people drift out of your life and there's no real tangible reason why, like I know when I mess up, I know when I've been too much, but when it just kind of dissolves and you're not really sure why, and one day they're in and the next minute they're out and they're in their feelings, if you go to a person and say, listen, hey, what's going on? Let me know, let me understand, and they don't want to share that with you, it's a fake friend. And I was saying to Carmen earlier, at some point, if you don't cut off those ties and break that relationship, then you become the fake friend. Because if I know someone's a fake person to me and I stick around and I had that angst in the back of my, in the back of my, mind, it's like, then at that point, I feel like I'm being fake. because then I start to not like the person. I start to have resentment towards them. I start to feel like, really?
What if the person doesn't realize what they're coming out, their attitude, their energy is? Because I think sometimes people are going through their own stuff, so they
Right.
pull away because they don't want to share it yet, or they don't know what it is really, and they kind of trying to process certain things. So that's something to really identify, and communicating is not easy for a lot of people, especially when we're in our younger age. I know as I gotten older, things have gotten easier because you just know,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's not. Sometimes you build business relationships, friendships, whatever that may be. And there is an expectation because that's what it was built on.
Right.
And then it doesn't, and then something happens to your point that dissolves it, but it's not communicated. What happened? What changed? Like, we have this master plan. Now what? Why are you drifting from me?
Sometimes too, you're in a place in your life where we were friends and I was here and we were here together, and then you elevate in different, they've elevated one way, you've elevated the other way, and we're just not on the same page anymore. And I've learned, because I've had really best friends in my life, that we just aren't friends anymore. And I'm still not 100% clear on why. And every time I've tried to have the conversation, there was never a conversation to where I felt closure. But I don't know if that was me being fake, them being fake, or we just...
Well, when you say not friends anymore, what do you mean by that? Is it the level, the depth of your friendship?
No, we're not friends anymore.
Okay,
period.
That's it. No hi, bye, no how you doing, nothing.
And that's what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, when you have a friendship, if it were a friendship at some point where there was meaningfulness between the two of you, even if you have made a decision that this relationship no longer suits the season I am in my life, if they meant something to you, you should have enough integrity to at least have a conversation. Don't rob me an opportunity to do the right thing by you. And I won't know what I've done unless you have that conversation with me. And I think the worst part about when friends become fake is it makes you question the validity of the relationship from the beginning. It's like, is it really just that simple for you to just kind of be gone? And I see, like, to Carmen's point, some people have circumstances in their life change. They're, maybe they get into new relationships, especially like for me, I have a lot of male friends that I'm really close to. So I've understood at times that they're in relationships and those relationships are not comfortable with them having a female friend. But even that, it's like, let's just talk about that. I respect it. If I'm a real good friend to you, I'm going to respect that maybe our relationship can't be as close because of that, and vice versa. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, it's a boundary that perhaps they're setting and have not communicated that with you in that space. I totally get that.
Yeah, I just think that honesty is key in any type of relationship. And that if something is truly bothering you, don't say it. Say what it is. Don't rob somebody the opportunity to do the right thing by you, because then you're left to draw your own conclusions and vice versa. And most of the time it's based on a lot of misunderstandings and miscommunication.
But let's give an example.
What would be a great example? For example, I had a friend recently, and in that friendship, we had been friends for a very, very long period of time. Okay. And that person got into a new relationship, which was great. I was very happy for this person. And they asked me to take that person into my life and kind of show them the ropes and make them feel comfortable, because he wanted to make sure that our friendship was solidified. I got into my own personal problems, and we all kind of became intermingled as friends. And so when me and this person had our falling out, I just asked, if they could just kind of not get involved because of the situation. And for some reason, it just created this like downward spiral that I didn't really understand as to why. Because as a friend, I should be able to say, this is what I'm going through. And I know you all have great intentions, but I need you to give space to my circumstance, And so it just created a domino effect of some just weird set of circumstances that I literally felt like, what the heck is going on? Why is there a problem? And I started to realize that there were certain things in that friendship that weren't really real. And there were always clues that were being left throughout the years that we were friends, but I chose to ignore them because I really valued this person. And I had to realize that, I can't be mad at them for who they are, but I have to be kind of check myself to understand that I put expectations on a person that wasn't going to be able to follow through on those expectations. So I had to realize that about myself and just say, you know what? I'm not going to worry about it anymore. I just rather sever ties. It's not worth the energy, especially when I'm a communicator. So I said, what's going on? Why are you acting strange? What's new? What's up? Nothing, nothing, nothing. Okay, then it's nothing. But if there is literally a complete shift in the interaction between me and this person, you can't tell me it's nothing when it's literally night and day. But I'm okay with it as long as I know that I at least approached it with a conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
I can give an example. I had a childhood friend that I consider her to be a sister to me. And I remember being married, and I would literally see me and her 80 years old sitting on the porch rocking, not me and my husband. Like,
Right.
that's how close we were. And over the years, we had just, we had our boys at the same time, and it just was like this distance between us. And then she moved away, and she just was like, God said we can't be friends anymore. And I was like, well, I didn't get the message from God. Like, he didn't talk to me and tell me. And she did mention at one point, I remind her of her past. So it was like,
interesting.
Yeah, I thought we had a great childhood. My mother brought her into our home and treated her as a daughter. But for her, however she grew up was so different. And I don't know what her feelings were. I just know what my feelings were as a child, as growing up. So maybe for her, I don't know if I would call her a fake friend.
You triggered her. Maybe your friendship triggered some childhood things that she has to work through.
Some pain that she needed to work through.
Yeah.
So as an adult, I could look at it and sympathize and say, that was her choice, but it hurt. It hurt. And I still love her. I care about her, but we don't talk. And
I think that's the hardest part, right? Is that when you are fully committed into that relationship with that friend, you kind of feel blindsided when they become indifferent. Who she was through the course of that friendship never really changed. But something about her shifted, and again, I'm going to repeat this, but it merited a real conversation to really just say, here it is. But sometimes I think that people don't even know why they do it themselves. They're still trying to, it's just I don't know, it's just who they are, which
or
you're going to say.
Sometimes people figure out that you're figuring them out and they got to move on because people try to reinvent themselves, and then they're like, oh, she's figuring me out, or he's like, and then they cut you off because it's too close, too much.
Yeah. I always just feel like the expectations, I always say that the expectations people put on friendship is either it needs to be clear or defined. I don't know. Maybe you don't show up the way a person wants you to show up. Maybe I didn't show up enough for her to help her deal with her pain or her struggles. And maybe she expected that from me.
Right.
And I just didn't.
But that, again, it still lies in conversation.
In
And I think that some people get so wrapped up in their own insecurities. Sometimes friendships, as they grow and evolve, and as people grow and evolve and transition, sometimes that friendship becomes something that makes them feel insecure. I've had friendships in the past where, they looked at me from a perspective of, oh, Lorraine's doing the most. Her life is like this. She's moved on past me. I'm not good enough for that friendship. And it simply isn't true. It's their perception of what they think my life is. But my life, as it grows and expands, my heart wants to share that with people that I love. But it's not my fault. I can't stunt my growth because someone else is feeling insecure. Again, it all goes back down to conversation. Well, how can I make you feel better without me dimming my light? And some things are just seasonal. You just have to say, you know what? When I'm facing this kind of adversity in my life with friendships, it's a time for me to take a pause and ask myself, well, where's my life? Where am I transitioning? Because I feel like sometimes relationships need to be removed anyway, and they will remove themselves. And instead of trying to force it, you just come to an understanding of your own and you move on. and you just move on. Because once you move on with that, then it leaves space for people with more value to you and for you to give. I want to be with people. I don't want to be in a give-take in relationships anymore. I want to be give. My abundance with your abundance. Do you know what I mean? And so that's why we're going to segue into the whole thing about your circle and how tight your circle is.
The exchange.
Yeah. And someone said it to me perfectly the other day. They said, I look at friendships like a bullseye, you know? And so the very center of the circle is going to be it's very small. And so your circle inside this bullseye is who you keep your closest friends. And that's not, it's static. It can move. And so sometimes people have to go from the middle of the bullseye to the farthest part of the circle. And some people are friends that you just have to create a different space with. And then some you just have to completely say, you know what? New season, new friendships.
All right. And also understanding how you are letting them into your life that have enough, I don't want to say power, but kind of power to trigger that inside of you. Because I feel even with friendships, if it's close or not, if you're confident, sometimes it will hurt, but okay, we got that. Thank you for the experience that we shared. If we come back around to this friendship again, thank God for it. You know, I'm cool either way,
Right.
but it hurts. I mean, especially if you're a caring person, you know. I remember one time somebody told me that I didn't share enough with them and they were uncomfortable with me for that. And I was like, I couldn't understand that. I really sincerely could not. I'm thinking I'm sharing enough. Like, there's some things that are sacred and, you know, not even your closest friend, you may even share with them, or you're still learning how to express certain things. So I just found that really weird. And after that, our friendship did kind of come back, but it was just, that was
the same.
It was different and it moved, but it needed to your point. It was, it expired. It was over at that point.
I actually think that's a really good point, Charlene. And what you bring up is because I think that's something that that I'm working on a lot more too, is to also say, well, if a friend can be that honest with me and be vulnerable enough to share with their experience of me, I may not see it that way, but I can't deny their experience. So if you tell me this is what you experienced, then the next question I would have is, well, what can I do in our friendship to make you feel and experience something different? Because I do appreciate that you trust me enough to share your truth. And I think that's the key thing to a really good friendship, is if someone comes to me with truth and they're transparent with me, even if it's like a little bit of a sting, I can so appreciate that coming from my friend, because then I'm like, I'd rather them tell me than to hear they've said it to somebody else. Do you know what I'm saying? And then it gives me a time to say, well, this person loves me enough that they want to share with me their experience. And let me take a seat back, even though this hurts and I don't see that about myself, and really contemplate that might be a possibility. Because then that friendship allows me to grow. And this is why that conversation is so important. So although it may have stung for you, at least this person was honest about their experience.
The motive was not genuine at the end, but at that point, that example I feel is relevant to all. There was more to that, but that share was important because I really thought that I didn't really have any dirt to share, and that was what she was looking for, I guess.
Gotcha.
You know, and that wasn't an exchange that I had to give. So perhaps, you know, but that person wasn't very sure of who she was and herself anyway.
Gotcha.
So again, I learned from her just as much too, because that was an experience, and I'm grateful for that time we shared, and I will never deny that. But I could see why and how it was time to expire that. But today, if she wanted coffee, I would meet.
Right.
Yeah, why not? Let's have coffee. I'm cool
Intention,
with
though.
Yeah.
Always the intention, right? And that's so hard because it's the one thing you can't truly measure with a person, because the intention's in your own heart, you know, and often the way a person shows up. There was a pastor who said it once. He's like, you got the person in the front of the church hooping and hollering and, oh, praise the Lord, I got the Holy Ghost or whatever. And one person really feels spiritually moved, and the other person is just doing it because they like the attention. But you watching that person, you can't see their heart. And so that's the hard part sometimes with friendships, is understanding and really measuring, well, what's this intention here? But I think at the end of the day, when you are integral yourself and your intentions are good, I think the bad intentions will reveal themselves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to overshare with people because I'm kind of like an open book. And that comes back. Like, I notice people will dig,
Mm.
because I overshare. But that's just my
What do you mean
personality.
by dig?
Throw it back
Like, oh, you did
in your
this.
face. Yeah. Or
When they
something.
get angry, they'll turn around
And
and throw it in their
I'm
face.
so like, I don't really care what people think, especially if I don't care about you like that.
Yeah.
So if it's somebody I care about,
Right.
it bothers me. But if it's just somebody,
yeah.
and I'm a hairstylist, or was a hairstylist for 22 years. So I share a lot, I just talk with a lot of different people and I share my stories. It's kind of my therapy. So,
very well. Yeah.
But yeah, I've had instances where like people will say stuff and I'm like, did I give them the invitation to say that to me?
That's where you
By
have
sharing.
comparison a lot in friendships too. And it's a reflection of them. And there's envy in some friendships, and that's a caution sign, but you can't stop showing up being who you are because they're feeling some kind of way. Let me help you there, or don't compare to me, girl. You don't know everything, but this is what you do know. Things like that.
Yeah. I'm learning, I should say. Boundaries are how important they are. Is for me to in a friendship, I have a standard of who I am. I have an abundance of which I'm willing to give. My friendship, for me, it's like, I love my friends so much that I'm just going to be honest all the time, sometimes to a fault, right? Like, I want the best for my friends all the time, right? I'm learning through communication because sometimes my delivery is too much, but I'm learning that I still want to honor them with truth, but but because I love and care about them, I need them to teach me how to share that truth, but not to compromise who I am in the meantime. Because I don't want to be a friend. She's laughing at me.
Because I'm like, you'll get the
always
Lorraine rap.
She's like, girl, I'm tell you.
And she'll be stern with it too.
And I'm stern. But the ironic thing about it is I give it the way I like it being given.
Yep.
But I have such a strong personality that most people won't come with me with the same level. But when they do, because sometimes she'll tell me about myself, she'll pull me to the side and she'll say, I know last night you said what you said, but I didn't like the way you came at me. And we always hug it out at the end because it's honest. So, okay, as we wrap up this fake friends tight circle will be part 2. I think we need to maybe next time talk about how to actually create tight circles and create circles of substance. Because one of the things that I've learned in life is in order for me to be successful, I don't care if it's relationships, business, career, your fitness, your health, it's important how your circle looks for you because you can't do it alone. You need your tribe. So so that'll be something we talk about next week. So what would you like to conclude, Miss Carmen, on real friends versus fake friends? I don't know. What are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are, I'm clear and I'm intentional now in my life of who I allow into my life and what baggage they bring to me. And it's a lot easier for me to not deal with people in that sense. And I only want to deal with people that I enjoy, I can make money off of, or I can learn something from, period.
That's clear.
Absolutely,
Yeah. What about you, Charlene?
Yeah. For me, when I hear friends, I hear family because I'm choosing
Love
that.
that.
And I feel that with family, when there's conflict, we come together and we try to make it better because we're always going to be there for each other. At least that's what I call a friend. I have a lot of acquaintances, but to call someone a friend, there's another level to that for me. So at that point, that's family. You need me, I need you. If I can give you, I will. But if I need and you're not there, that's okay too, because I'm going to find it anyway.
Yeah.
But if we can have that exchange, that's beautiful. So the expectation I don't put on them, but to your point, I'm not going to hang around with people that I'm not growing with.
Ooh,
we have to grow.
I love that.
And it's important because otherwise it's like watching TV. What's the point, But that's important for me.
I am learning that just substance and quality. Who am I? At the end of the day, my friendships are a reflection of myself. So it doesn't really matter how they come to me. It's the fact of whether or not I let them in. And if they're in, it's because there's something about them that's a part of who I am. And if at some point in my life that doesn't seem right anymore and feel right, then I'm going to check myself first and remove those people from my life after I've made my corrections. You know, I don't need to judge friendships anymore. I just need to see them as blessings, whether they come or go, because they're all there to teach me something.
Exactly.
So
I wish the matters of the heart were as easy to block.
Yeah.
navigate.
I remember when
That's
I
a
was a
different
little
side
girl,
of
I
it.
remember like feeling pain, like a broken heart pain from that. I'm like, why do I feel this way about that friendship? Like, why does it hurt so
But your
bad?
friends can break your heart
Yeah.
too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They can.
As I gotten older, that doesn't happen as often.
Well, that's because we become smarter and wiser.
Exactly.
Hence the three of us beautiful ladies sitting here
Yeah.
today.
Absolutely.
All right, Lipstick Ladies. Well, thank you all for our very first
Thank
segment
you
here on
for having us
Mindsetters.
back.
My whole thing is that when you change your mind, you can change your life. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more episodes of The Mindsetter and more episodes with these beautiful Lipstick Ladies. God bless and have a good day.